welcome back to more Let's Play Dragon Warrior Monsters. Last time, we returned to the library Mystic World, where we struggled for a bit, but managed to conquer the almighty Orochi. And because we did it before a certain story moment, we got some unique dialogue that players may not have seen before. Otherwise, we've been using Rick here, who is our first boss monster, and got him to a hot blood, which is very, very special. And now, today, I want to find a tiny medal and take on the Metal Man's Mystic World. However, I have plans while I go searching. First, I want to evaluate our wing tree here. Because originally, this was going to be who we bred with Rick there. However, I have other plans. I want to use this wing tree, who is now blessed to be a boy, to breed with Amber, who is the amberweed that we recruited in the library Mystic World. This way, what I plan on doing is making another amberweed, and more or less fine-tailoring the stats to our needs. So while Wing Tree won't be very good, the combination of, trying to show Amber stats there, of Wing Tree and Amber should make a overall more powerful monster who we can then breed with Rick. I figure too, by working on our Wing Tree and Amber's child, as well as Wing Tree itself, we will be able to get Rick a couple more levels, and have a slightly faster leveling monster amongst our party, which is really the big benefit. Yeah, Wing Tree plus 5, probably just gonna call him Wing, and call it a day. There we go. Very good. Absolutely, we'll take him with us. Goodbye, Rick. It has been very fun, but frankly, I just don't really need you. Now, to be fair, our Wing Tree is not phenomenal, but at the very least, they should level up fast, get plenty of skills and EXP, and we should be able to cherry-pick all of our favorite things for a very, very good monster. I think that's going to be quite worth our while. Now, I think for leveling and trying to find the tiny medal, I want to go to the Arena Gate. It's just been one of my favorites because it offers generally a lot of shorter floors, good EXP, and I might want to catch a material or like a Medusa or just something. I'm not really too sure yet. We'll kind of see what I'm feeling or thinking. But for now, here are everyone's stats. Rain and Toto, still looking as they were. Wing looks like so. And otherwise, got to show here are their personalities, 2 hot bloods and ordinary, and of course, all of their skills, which may or may not change. I don't really know if Toto or Rain are going to gain a level, just because they require so much EXP. But if nothing else, I'll probably try to get Wing to about level 20, try to find that tiny medal, and depending on which happens first, I'll meet you back. We'll keep on going. I think it's a good plan. So, let's get started. Alright, we are back from our first expedition. Unfortunately, it did not yield a tiny medal. However, Wing grew many levels, is now level 21 with decent stats. Still ordinary, but he has many new skills, all of which are pretty darn good. Very specifically, Iron Eyes, which turns all allies into a protective lump of iron. This affects them for several turns and makes them completely immune to any and everything. This is an especially good skill if you know a monster just charged up, sucked in air to do a powerful attack, or it does something that gives you a big tell. It's not maybe the most useful move, but when it's good, it is really good. He also learned Hustle, which is excellent for healing, because it heals everybody without being a magic spell. and he learned Hatsu Call, which is again the fourth party member summoning ability. It's pretty darn good, and I like having it. So, if nothing else, Wing has become a lovely skill surrogate for his soon-to-be partner, Amber. And well, I'm gonna be completely honest, we're just gonna breed Amber with Wing. That way we get another Fireweed, or Amberweed, whatever the heck her monster type is called, I forget. Because I think Fireweed is a different monster, if I'm being completely honest. Point is, because it's Amberweed. Duh. That's why I named her Amber. Golly, I tell you. Silly. But, even though her stats aren't the best, her skills will be useful along with Wing. Like an Amberweed +7, which is amazing. So I figure we will do that. And then, ideally, we will make the child female. And then this will be what breeds with Rick to create our lovely new powerful party member. So we know it's a baby Amberweed, but we want to go do some evaluating, and then pretty much it's going to be a similar game. I'll show you all our stats, head back into the arena, and see if we can find that TinyMedal while leveling up our beloved Amber 2. Hello. Evaluate our Amberweed. The other good thing about having done that breeding is that it frees up inventory space, or I guess monster pen space, which is good. Because that is something we always have to be worried about. There we go. Now she should be all ready to go. Rick's lovely bride-to-be. Ideally, too, I imagine Rick's gained a level, maybe 2, probably just 1, while we were doing all of that grinding. Let us catch our new Amberweed. Aw, look at her. She looks like a modern media monster that I will not name. Her name even was Aw. That's kind of adorable. Oh my gosh. Okay. Alright. We shall call her... I'm just gonna go with Amber again. It's just easier. There we go. Absolutely, we will take it with us. And let's see how her stats compare. Pretty similar. I'm not gonna lie. She's also gullible, which, I mean, what did you expect? But the actual benefit here is that although the stats may not be quite as good as what we wanted, her stats will make up for it through leveling, just because Amberweeds have higher growth modifiers than, say, the Wing Tree. And because she bred with Wing, she's going to learn a plethora of really good skills. And what I plan on doing is making her and Rick's offspring into just a mixed monster of a monster. Because it's going to learn a very special skill I will be more than happy to have. Otherwise, everyone's stats, everyone's abilities, and nothing crazy. I think at this point, you know the deal. Favorite game, hop right in, open for a TinyMedal. If not, well, we'll keep breeding. Well, we've still not found a mini-medal, or a TinyMedal. Again, keep confusing those. But Amber has hit level 22, and I believe Rain gained a level, as well as Toto. Now, in addition to this, Amber learned many very useful skills, from Boom all the way down to Hatsu Call. Very good stuff. With her being sufficiently strong enough, I figure, let's get to the breeding. Select Amber, and then Rick. Rosevine +8 will be born. weirdly enough, this is a monster that requires a boss monster, which is incredibly hard to get. And it's not a hidden name monster. I don't know why, because this thing is actually really good, and I genuinely believe it's better than Draco Lord. So, we absolutely are going to say yes, and create our latest party member. Now, I'm not sure, ultimately, what's going to happen to, say, Toto or Rain down the future, but I think we're going to have our Rose Mine for a fairly long time. Now, of course, before we do anything, I do want to evaluate it. And to be completely honest, I do like the idea of just naming it Rose. And because of that, I kinda want to make sure that it's female. So, let us evaluate our Rose Vine, which, by the way, there's what it looks like. Basically, a big old rose bush with a tongue. So, you know. But absolutely, let's see here. Beauty has lots of power, such versatility. It has inherited lots of skills. It will take some time to grow up, but we can expect a lot from it. It'll be a boy. I do not believe that is true. And there we go. Thus, our latest party member shall be Rose. Now, to be honest, I wasn't super sure when we started this Let's Play if I would be using a Rose Vine, but I did want to do all the Queen's requests, and I kind of forgot that Rose Vine was in fact one of them. So, here she is. There we have it. It may not have the cutest sprite, but OV? That's a weird name. But as I said, we shall call her Rose, and welcome her along to the team. So, 142 starting MP. Quite a bit. Her stats aren't anything insane, but trust me, she's going to learn quite a few things. Now, otherwise, I do plan on continuing to look for a TinyMedal, because I really want one. But, in the meanwhile, while I do so, probably using the arena again, I'm going to be cascading and getting Rose to Hot Blood, just because it is the best personality, at least generally speaking. Again, there are some personalities that are better depending on what you want. Say, like, I think one of the ones has good offense and then has low, like, caution, and it makes it better at defending for something weirdly specific. So, there are better personalities depending on what you want, but Hot Blood is just so much easier to get that that's what I go for. So, I'm going to level up Rose, ideally, maybe not a ton, because she does take a long time to level up, and hopefully, find the final TinyMedal that we need. There I go, combining words again, because I'm thinking ahead of what I'm going to say. Oh, I tell ya, Finey. Oh, good golly. It goes to show what grinding for an hour plus will do to ya. Still, here's everyone's stats, just before we go farming. Everyone's temperament, namely just Rose, everyone else is Hot Blood, and of course, she has no skills. I'll be sure to give her a delectable selection of very good skills. So, for the third time, or is it fourth today? I lost count. In we go. And I'll see ya once something interesting happens, or we get our TinyMedal, or I get sick of farming. Well, while we were out leveling Rose and looking for our TinyMedal, I encountered another Monster Master who had a medally. that is now looking at us wanting to join. We absolutely will take them along. Um, I guess I'm gonna name him. You know what? This is cute. Name him Zinc. I guess it's more an element, but whatever. Sounds cute. So sure. Otherwise, take a look at him. He is max level at level 20 with 298 agility, 250 or 298 defense, 250 agility. There I go, looking at that. Lone Wolf, Heal, Masker, and Guardian. We won't take him with us, but we certainly will recruit him. Otherwise, too, I suppose in the meanwhile, Rose has gained a few levels. May as well show you. She's level 6, already doing pretty darn good, all things considered. She's still spoiled, but has learned a full suite of skills, that not many of which are going to stay on her, if I'm being completely honest. Blaze probably won't stay. Infernos I don't think is going to stick around. Nor Fireball, or Fire Air, or Ice Bolt. Bang probably will. But past that, I don't know. Heal maybe for a bit, we'll have to see. Her job isn't primarily going to be a healer, so I'm not terribly worried about that. Otherwise, I'm gonna get back to it. Holy moly. I have finally found the last tiny medal that we currently need. This has taken me almost 2 hours in order to find. So long that Rose now is level 11. For reference, here's everyone's stats. I believe everyone gained at least a level. Rose is looking pretty good. She is a hot blood, and with everyone else, everyone's skills are pretty similar. Rain did learn Scorching and Ice Air, or more specifically, her air attacks evolved into those, and her, what was it, Tailwind became Stormwind, so very useful. Otherwise, Rose has a plethora of useful abilities, so we're doing quite good. Yeah, as you can see, I've gotten many, many, many staves. We'll just toss the warp one away, grab our tiny medal, and finally get the heck on out of here. I cannot tell you how happy I am to have gotten that, because oh my goodness, I've been looking forever, at least what feels like forever. So finally having it is awesome. Now, the nice thing is I did encounter a few bards and such NPCs like that, so we did get a couple very nice stat increases. That's why everyone's looking a little beefier than they may have been before, barring the levels. Oh, Mr. Metalman, I am here at long last. Here you go. Oh, finally. Terry, you brought a total of 13 medals. I'll give you a reward as the medals exceed 13. It's an egg of a zap bird. I'll send it to the farm. So now our new goal is 18 medals. So 5 more for a trumpeter egg. Frankly, I really don't have a use for it. It doesn't really matter. However, the zap bird is pretty good.
Thanks, Terry, for bringing the medals. I'll open the Traveler's Gate in return. The man hid it somewhere. Where is it? I'll find it. Come back later.
And so, simply walk out, and then back in. And boom! The Traveler's Gate we have been waiting for. Now, a big recommendation, make sure you have at least 2 sirloin. I would recommend having 4, because the boss of this gate is, in fact, recruitable. This is one of the more unique bosses, and one of the reasons I bred that extra metal track forever ago. Trust me, it is going to pay off in dividends for having been so, what's the word I want to use here? So prepared? Yeah, sounds about right. Let's see, buy some sirloin, call that a day. And let's get prepared to hop on in. Because frankly, I'm not gonna lie, I totally lost count of my timer because I accidentally smacked reset like 3 or 4 times. And I don't remember how long the episode's been going. So I'm just gonna hop in there and hope for the best. I'm sure it'll all work out just fine. Still, let's talk to the little guy.
I found it. A big trial's waiting for you behind the gate.
And that's what I'm a little worried about, is that I believe this is a longer gate. Not as long as the library one, for sure, but longer. Still, we have warp staves, heals, and rose vine. Didn't have that before. So let's see here. Yeah, 19 floors, 18 of which are random. Nothing we can't handle. Map magic, take a look. Some short floors. I love it. I'm just frankly gonna try to fly on through here. And, well, we'll see what we see, fight what we fight. And I'm sure all will go well. Otherwise, Toto, your map magic and step guard are going to be our best friend. Oh yeah. Honestly, for a long floor like this, I'm just gonna warp staff. Let's also organize our inventory. There we go. Much better. Yeah, oh my goodness. I have been just looking all around for that tiny medal. I mean, we gained so many good levels, but I got so fed up with it, I just started going to the bazaar and just running through there because it was frankly faster. So as much as I wasn't exactly excited to be doing that, I am at least happy to have finally done it. Now, luckily, this area isn't terribly hard, but you can find some pretty good monsters here. Gizmos, which are good for making phoenixes and things like that. I forget what it was exactly, because I know I talked about them a little before when we first had the chance to encounter them. I know they're related to making phoenixes in some way, shape, or form. I think it's a bird plus them makes a phoenix or something like that, or it makes the thing that makes the phoenix. Some convoluted something. I keep forgetting. It's been a while. But you can find them, box slimes, and a couple other pretty decent monsters. In fact, one of the monsters in here is a queen's request. So, want to keep your eye out for that. Now, granted, we've already done it. It is the Reaper specifically, but still useful if you haven't already done it. Otherwise, I mean, there's nothing too terribly remarkable otherwise about this gate. You do find night whips, who are also fairly useful for breeding, from what I remember. I want to say, let me look here. Also, yes, it is bird plus gizmo that creates phoenix. That is what I was thinking of. Let's see. I know night whips were good for something, but I just cannot remember what they were. But I can tell you that Rose hit level 12. She gains 5 HP, 15 MP, 5 attack, 5 defense, 5 agility, 5 intelligence. Her ice bolt becomes Snowstorm. Very useful. Otherwise, keep on going. And let's see. It looks like another small floor to me. Yes, indeed. I love it. Ooh, a world dew. I honestly might take that. Just because more healing is always nice. And we frankly do not need pork chops. At least if you ask me. I'm not a huge fan of them in this game. Love them in real life. Because they are quite tasty. Yeah, as you can see with Scorching, Toto's Boom, and Rose's Snowstorm, you can get through here fairly quickly, which is nice. Oh, yeah, that's what Night Whip is good for. They can make face trees from a plant, which is honestly fairly useful, all things considered. So if you remember that boss from forever ago, you want another one, you can make them. Pretty easy. Otherwise, I think Gizmo really is the bigger one. That's the biggest prize. But you can also find Rogue Knight, who I always thought was really cool. They may not be super great or unique, but I like them. And like I said, you can find Reaper here, which is Queen's Request. Very useful. Let me take a look if there's anything else here that is anything worth noting. I think there really... No, that's pretty much it. But still, 2 gates, almost back to back, if you ignore the several hours worth of looking and farming, that both have monsters that are good for Queen's requests. So that is very nice. The game does a pretty good job of accommodating you when going out of your way to fulfill her requests, but breeding and knowing what they are ahead of time is absolutely the way to go. Plus, because you're doing a bunch of breeding and things like that, you're getting your monsters a lot of EXP and training, and it just overall helps things flow a lot better. And especially once you start caring about the request, then you're more than likely going to have the arena gate anyways. And like I've said before, that is just one of my favorite go-to gates for farming. Even if you don't have that, you probably have the Bazaar Gate, which offers easy access to bards, typically speaking. Maybe not always, but usually you can get 1 or 2 per run. Well, usually just 1, but still, better than none. Yeah, otherwise, this is another gate that I do end up liking, because I feel like you find pretty good money here, and for whatever reason, call me crazy, I feel like you find TinyMedals in here way more often than anywhere else. It's probably placebo, but it feels right. Plus, the enemies aren't too hard, they give pretty darn good EXP, which is kind of a trend with all of the side dungeons, is typically they're smaller in terms of overall floor size, have good items, and typically offer pretty darn good EXP without too much of a challenge. So most of the side dungeons I find myself returning to just because they're all useful for various things, especially if you're using them throughout the game. Even later on, once you've bred a bunch of powerful monsters, if you're trying to do a bunch of training of just an entire squad of lower team monsters, you can kind of just take them through a lot of the side areas pretty quickly and get them caught up to speed. It's one of my favorite ways of doing things, in fact. Generally, I find that you can usually start with like the bazaar, go from there, go to the arena, come here, then go to the library, and usually by then, your monsters are at least mid-20s in terms of level. At least, depending on how long they take to level. Rose, obviously, takes longer, same with Toto and Rain, or like Rick did, and even our Metal King slime that we bred is also going to take a fair bit of time to level up. So, generally speaking, if you can use your higher level areas, that's better. I think the library being the highest level one we have access to right now. So I'm probably going to use that Mystic World for farming up our Metal King slime once we go about hatching them. But I have a plan in the works with them, one that hopefully you'll see the other half of today. At least that is the current plan. Also, thank you, Mr. Priest. We absolutely adore the healing. I also adore the chance to save my game. Beautiful. Let's see, 9 out of 18, about halfway, give or take. Not bad. We are making, I feel like, good time. Again, my sense of time has kind of been horribly skewed because I have been just at this for hours. Now, to be fair, most of it's been just me scrolling on my phone while I mindlessly mash the A button and move about. But still, it was several hours of doing this. But hey, it makes you appreciate editing and cutting things a lot more, doesn't it? Still, though, it's like I've said in the past, I like showing folks what you're actually in for when you play a game. And although I would love to show you the several hours worth of farming or exploring or what have you, it's just not worth it when you're getting maybe like 40 to 30 minutes worth of actual stuff you want to watch and see, actual progression or relevant video to what we're doing with the team. So although I do like being honest with how a game plays, I do try to save you time cutting out the mundane things. It's also just one of those things that I've always struggled to balance. Because, again, I like showing it, and I like being honest with it, but I feel there's a fine line where sometimes you just cut too much, or sometimes you cut too little, and sometimes it's a little hard to judge. But usually, I find that once I've made the final video, I'm usually happy with where it sits. It has everything you want to see, all the fun little bits, and it usually contains me telling you things like this, where I'm being honest about, hey, there was a lot that happened that was frankly boring, so I didn't show it. It's funny because there's actually been a couple games that I've done proto LPs for, even before I started actually posting, back when I first started, that I found were personally fun for me to play, but I didn't feel like they made for a great viewing experience. And at some point, I want to try to go back to those games and show them off, because I do genuinely like a lot of them. I mean, that's why I was playing them in the first place. But some, it might just be really difficult to make interesting. One of the ones that I had gone super in-depth with, and was somewhat doing a blind Let's Play, actually, despite having put several hundred hours into the game, was Final Fantasy Tactics Advance. I loved that game after originally disliking it because I thought it was normal Final Fantasy Tactics, ditching it, playing actual Tactics, loving that, and then going back to it years later. And so, for whatever reason, I just got really into figuring out the game, figuring out how to break it, abuse it, and just all these intricate little systems that are super unique to it. But I found that one of the best ways to play the game to save you a ton of time later was within, like, the first... after the first, like, 4 or 5 missions, you do, like, literally 30 hours worth of just back and forth menial tasks that tantamount nothing but get you one item and make you ridiculously broken for the wrong reasons early on, but it also saves you hours and hours and hours of time. I mean, we're talking hours in the hundreds here, not just like, oh, it saves you, 1 or 2 hours on top of the 30. Like, no, this is a significant amount of time you save by doing this goofy thing. And so, I remember trying to Let's Play it, and I think I had gotten, maybe like 40 episodes into it or something before I had actually started, trying to edit it. And then I just found that I hated how I sounded at the time, and it was agonizing for me to listen to. And so I just ditched it entirely. I still have all the notes, though. So if I ever want to do it in the future, which I honestly still have interest in, I might. But I just think it's interesting that, figuring out if you think a game would be enjoyed versus just kind of winging it, it's a whole thing. It really is. I guess, too, while I'm on the the subtext talking about this just while we're going through this dungeon is another proto LP that I did before I started um, actually posting was Fallout New Vegas and Fallout 1. Just because I'm familiar with those games, at least New Vegas. And I knew 1 a fair bit, but I wanted to go through and, like, actually beat it again with, you know, actually paying, like, super close attention and really just getting into the lore and, like, really, really reading into everything. And it was a lot of fun. But again, it was one of those things where I kind of did it just to learn and get in the habit of doing all of this. Namely, like learning speaking and timing and how to handle my microphone at the time. Oh, it was so much fun. It's one of those things that I wish I had more storage on my computer at the time, because I think it would have been really fun to someday release those videos as like, hey, this was, you know, a prototype project that I didn't let see the light of day, and it had its own issues, its own workings, whatever. But, you know, here's where I started doing things. Like, I think it would have been so fun to keep those, but they just took up so much storage, especially because I just didn't know how to record them properly. That was a big issue. Like, I think when I first started doing recordings, oh man, I was getting files in the 50 gigabyte range. And I mean, these were like 1 to 2 hour recordings, and that was just not acceptable for someone who had maybe like a terabyte or 2 terabytes worth of storage at the time. No, I think I had maybe 3. But eventually I got I think it was a 6 terabyte fat drive. So, once we had that out of the way and storage was no longer a problem, I had already kind of figured out how to record videos much, much better for balancing quality and space usage. So, that's one of the reasons that I could not let those videos stay on my computer. They would have taken up so much space. But it was a lot of fun. Like, learning everything for the first time and going through and even just sitting there kind of listening to myself. Like, it felt kind of surreal. Because it's like, here's this thing, you know, you were, or I myself, even at the time, had been doing for such a long time. Just, you know, listening. And it's like, here's something I did, you know? So it was just that weird surreal moment of like, oh, this is neat to see myself doing it, or more so hear myself, you know, doing a Let's Play. So I thought it was a lot of fun. And it's one of the reasons I stuck with it, you know, have been doing things since. Despite the hiatuses, the hiccups, the sicknesses, whatever, what have you, it's always been fun. And even if it takes me a while to record things and properly make them, and I obsess over audio and things like that, I still think it's just a ton of fun at the end of the day. And it's one of the reasons I love doing this stuff. Because frankly, if I didn't have passion behind it, I wouldn't be doing it. But I love games too much to not do stuff like this. I mean, come on. There's such a wide variety of video games that there really is something for everybody. I mean, if you're like a car person, there's racing games, building simulators. If you're a big numbers nerd, I mean, games are built on them. Like, there's just so much out there. There's something you can find love. And I mean, even if you're not someone who wants to play something, I know plenty of people who have appreciated, like, the game's soundtrack, or the art, or, you know, the world building and lore. Like, there's just so much. And it's one of the reasons I love games. They're so versatile and open, and just, they fit so many things. Also, lovely Bard. Glad that we found them. I know I've just been kind of rambling for a bit, trying to get through the dungeon nice and quick. Because again, I have no idea how long this episode's going to be. There's a good chance we're hitting the 40, 50 mark. But Rose is also hitting level 13, so I think it's well worth it. She gains 8 HP, 16 MP, 8 attack, 8 defense, 4 agility, 4 intelligence, and learns Panic Dance, which honestly, I think I do want for her. Let's get rid of I'm gonna say Firebane, actually. We just don't need it. Ooh, boy. Kodo's defense went up by 20. Rain's HP went up by 20. And Rose's defense went up by 20. Excellent. That is what I like seeing. I think we're on to the final floor now, which is a heal and a save. Oh, baby, we could not have asked for a better thing. This is wonderful, because this is an incredibly unique boss. I will show you. Save your game, if you have the chance, and head on in. Seriously, I could not have asked for a better place. So here we are greeted with a sort of tea room, with 3 doors, 3 guys, and 2 posters. Let's talk to them. Hi, we go sip sip here. Uh-huh. And over here? Please let the sweet aroma relax you. Right. Now I'm gonna be so honest. This guy has my favorite piece of dialogue in the entire game. Boss, you can feel like a king with jiggle joggle. I quote this so often. Just, boss, you can feel like a king with jiggle joggle. What a sentence. I love it. Now, Terry read the posting. Wanted, happy and healthy applicants. Here, Terry read the posting. Once you go in, you will never be able to get out. Make the decision and have no regrets. So what makes this incredibly unique is that there are 3 different bosses here. 2 of them are fates that generally will die in 1 hit. If you go into those boss rooms, you will not be able to recruit the actual boss. But seeing as we have been presented with an excellent opportunity, I want to show you all 3 of them. Let's start with this one. On the left path, we have Ellipse.
Sip, sip, here I come.
And so, we have Ellipse. With them, you can recruit them. In fact, you can recruit any of these 3 bosses. Notably, Ellipse is incredibly common and not hard at all to find. I think it has like 20 HP, gives terrible EXP. Rain does get a level, but we're not keeping it. So, ignore all of this. And hey, the female Ellipse gets up. Well, we're gonna have to get rid of something. It really doesn't matter. But these enemies don't have unique names. Kind of fitting that we'll name this Lipsy LP and then get rid of it like I did my old Let's Play projects. Very fitting, huh? So yeah, they are incredibly awful monsters with below average stats. Generally terrible personalities. They do usually have all their skills, though. So that is nice.
Wow, you really impressed me.
Waterbow will come on in.
Had a good time? We gotta get going.
But that's not the outcome we want. What if we pick the right door? So now, if we pick the right door, we receive a different boss. A mushroom.
Oh, I sleep with my sleep bag. Then I will.
Uh-huh. So yes, this boss is Toadstool, who, much like the Lipsy, is terrible, incredibly weak, and not unique in any way whatsoever. So, you beat it, Rain will get their level, learn Transform again, which is an interesting skill. Transform into the same species as the enemy. I frankly won't be using this. We did not recruit the Toadstool. Oh well, it's not unique, it's terrible.
You're strong. If this is a dream, please don't let me wake up.
Waterbow will come on in again, give you the same dialogue, and that's about it. So what about the final door? Door number 3. Well, behind the final door, with my favorite phrase of boss, you can feel like a king with jiggle joggle, is something you may have foreseen. It is a king slime, who is the actual boss of this gate. If you fight the other two, you lose out on the chance to recruit this king slime. And this is a phenomenal opportunity. Trust me. Now, sleep tight on my arms. So yes, we get to finally fight a king slime. This is why I recommended bringing 4 sirloins. Generally, 2 will be enough, but it's a better idea to go in here expecting to use a bunch, rather than not, and then not recruiting him. Now luckily, the king slime does have some good HP, so you don't have to worry too much on that regard. Generally speaking, we fought significantly harder, so this fight shouldn't be terribly difficult. He doesn't have any offensive skills, only healing, revive, and barrier. So this fight should be fairly easy, both in terms of fighting him and recruiting him. In our case, we got even luckier in the fact that we have a save directly before him after a full heal. So, ideally, this King Slime will play along, unlike Gigantes did the one time, and we'll be on our way. Now, one other thing I wish to explain right now to set up next episode is why this King Slime is so important, and why we've done all this setup in the past. If you remember, we kept a hold of Slid's whole family tree to eventually end up with a metal King Slime. Now, we have another King Slime that we are about to recruit with a metal track waiting in the egg for whatever gender this King Slime happens to be. Typically it's male, but game's funky sometimes, so I believe that it is fixed at being male, but after Abby being male or female, which I believe is unique to that fight, you never know. Still, I plan to hatch the metal trait, breed it with this King Slime, to create a second metal King Slime. Then, if you can see where this is going, I plan on taking both of our King Slimes and creating the ultimate slime. This has been a long-winded plan since the beginning of the game that we have been working toward. This is also the reason why this gate was so important and why I made such a big deal on wanting the TinyMedals. Otherwise, let us put those on cautious real quick. And more or less, I am super happy that ideally that plan will come to fruition very soon. Specifically, next episode, I'm going to focus on doing those things. guess just put Rose on mix. I kind of want to see if she can put him to sleep or do something to him. Not that the damage isn't unwelcome, it's just getting statuses and things like that would be useful. Which, if it doesn't work, not terribly concerned. He shouldn't last much longer anyways. Granted, he does have heal more. Yeah, that might make things take longer. Okay, well, we'll see what happens. Still, I have been terribly excited to execute this plan for such a long time. And now that it is finally almost here, oh man, am I excited. Cautious charge. So although we won't see all the fruits of my labor on today's episode, because let's be honest, this is already running very long, I can feel it in my bones, we will be focusing on it next episode, which I imagine will honestly leave us with a team that we're probably going to be using for pretty much the rest of the game. Rose all by herself is going to be a monster for debuffing. Rain, I'm not sure, is going to stick around, just because frankly we can do better. Toto is extremely useful, and frankly, I'm not sure where he might go in terms of breeding if I decided to, and the same is kind of true for Rain. So perhaps I'll look into some more advanced breeding with maybe some later boss monsters, but as of right now, I think Toto is going to be the mainstay alongside Rose, and Rain probably is going to be the one getting replaced, just because they're fine. They've been around, and, you know, they've got good skills, but we're going to just have monsters that are statistically going to be better than Rain, and that does make me a little sad. Still, we'll have them around, so if we ever want to swap them in, we certainly can. Yeah, as you can see, this fight is a test in patience and longevity. But yeah, I plan on having the offspring of both of our Metal King slimes alongside Rose and Toto going forward after we eventually beat the King slime. Hopefully soon. I mean, hey, they're showing off one of their best qualities. They are resilient. Ironically, he gets knocked out the minute I say that. Well, I wouldn't have it any other way. I also wouldn't have it any other way for Rain leveling up and hitting level 21. He gains 4 HP, 3 MP, 7 attack, 6 defense, 6 agility, 6 intelligence, and learns Transform, which again, frankly, I would never use. And hey, the female King Slime got up and is looking at us. So yes, this is another one of the bosses that has a random gender. A lot of the earlier ones from, say, the main gate have a fixed gender. This is another one that doesn't. Because I'm pretty sure in most of my other runs, typically this is a male. Also, goodbye, Dark Crab. I just don't need you. However, they are always named Kicks. So, cool. Works for me. Otherwise, we will take a look at her stats. Honestly, not bad. Level 38, pretty good across the board. The MP is incredibly lacking, but they have a good nature, and barrier, heal more, and revive. You could do a lot worse. Oh, you were great.
Had a good time? We gotta get going.
No kidding, Wadabow. I should have ended this episode a while ago.
Well done, Terry. You beat another monster. It's amazing how a young master like you can even win.
Oh, King?
Train hard. You're dismissed. Busy, 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 busy.
Yeah, trust me, I know something or two about being busy, King. My goodness. Still, we got quite a lot done today. Maybe more than I meant to. But hey, that's all good. I'll do my best to edit it down and make it a bit more digestible. But regardless, maybe you got a longer episode and you enjoyed. Hopefully you did. Next time we play Dragon Warrior Monsters, we're gonna see what 2 Metal King slimes are all about and can breed for us. Trust me, it's gonna be awesome, even if it means several hours of grinding for myself. I signed up for this, and to be honest, I kinda love it. As always, I'm Brett. Thanks for watching, and have a good one.